Welcome to the Flourish Frequency, the show where we activate and amplify the frequencies of success, joy, and abundance. I'm your host, Beth Larsen, a high-performance and quantum success coach. If you're ready to ditch the hard hustle and embrace a more effortless flow, then this is the show for you. Together, we'll tap into quantum thinking, harness the laws of the universe, and unlock the secrets to living a life of more. More joy, more energy, more passion, more money, and more meaning. No more simply surviving, we're going beyond thriving. It's time to flourish. The Flourish Frequency Show starts now. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have you here today for episode 5 of the Flourish Frequency. And as you heard in the intro here, this conversation is going to be perfectly in line with what this show is all about, that topic of more. But today we're going to dive into the topic of when high achievers want more. And I am so excited. If you've been tuning in to the first 4 sessions, you know that my co-host here has been the amazing Dr. Pat. And I am so thrilled to have her with me here again. Only today I get to turn the tables a little bit because Dr. Pat has been asking me a lot of the questions so far and diving into, my thoughts on things. And I wanted to take this opportunity to kind of take a pause here and get into her head and find out, and her heart and her soul, and find out, really what this topic means to her. The concept of more, as well as really what it means to her and her flourish frequency. So if you are tuning in here to the Transformation Network and watching the show, then you already know her. But if you have found her through me here, I wanted to take a moment and just really tell you a little bit about this amazing woman. So Dr. Pat, she is a leader in the field of human potential, the creator of the remarkable Epic World, an international award-winning talk radio host, TV commentator, keynote speaker, certified career and belief coach, dynamic seminar leader, award-winning author, and researcher on fostering respect and trust in the workplace, and a CEO of a successful motivational company. And of course, she is the founder of the Transformation Network and Transformation Talk Radio, where she has created a groundbreaking media coaching and radio mentoring program to help other transformational leaders get their message out into the world. And for that, I am extremely grateful. So that is just scratching the surface, honestly. I mean, I could spend the entire show just going through all the accomplishments, and then we wouldn't get into the topic. So I just wanted to give the highlights there. I hope I didn't miss anything incredibly important for you.
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
It's always so much fun to really be on this side of the conversation. And I just, every time I listen to the introduction, when people introduce me, I'm always fascinated by it. And it really ties right into what you want to speak about today as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find yourself as you're listening to all those accomplishments like, oh, I forgot about that? Like, does that ever happen?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it does. And then I'll tell you what I've been reminded by. I'm having to put up several websites and refresh one that's up there, especially our Unstuckable, the brand that I created called Unstuckable. And, what I'm finding about this as we're going through, we're looking at things, we're changing them. Of course, you have the Dr. Pat show, but then I had to put up, this is so related to this. I had to put up for the Better Business Bureau, I had to put up our corporate website, which is unlimitedpossibilitiesnow.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anybody's ever worked with the Better Business Bureau, but I just want to say to y'all, if you do, the folks there are so precise. They are so, it's the kind of organization where if you say you're this, you have to be that. And it was fascinating putting it up because I had a number of people helping me with the awards, with the acknowledgments. And I was like, I don't remember getting that award. And then somehow we found a picture of it. But the question really is, and I said this on a show yesterday, what I realize about my life is, yeah, there are a lot of awards, credentials, whatever you want to call it, accomplishments, creating the network. But boy, when I show up on a coaching call, most of that doesn't matter. What matters is what I've learned, my life experiences, and what I've learned to help other people. And that's always been in the forefront. And yet we so want to put this credibility on our labels and our accomplishments. Not that they're not important, but I really do believe how we show up, especially if you are an entrepreneur or
Mm.
executive or somebody that's running a company or even a man, it doesn't matter, manager. What you do every day really does matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And your life really is your credibility, right? All the life experiences, not just the accomplishments that come out of them. So
That's a soundbite we need to grab right there, Emily. That right there comes from that comes from the most incredible Beth Larsen. That's a little video clip we're going to pull because I think we have to be reminded of that.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we really
definitely.
do, all of us.
Every day. Well, this show, as I've said, the show is about the concept of more, and the show itself, the Flourish Frequency, and how the Flourish Frequency ties into that. And in the first few episodes, I've shared my concept of more, what more means to me, which for me, that is more joy, more energy, more passion, more meaning. Those are the qualities of more that how I define it. And then all the stuff is the byproduct of all that. And I want to hear from you what more means
Mhm.
for you. Like, what are those qualities for you? But before we dive into that, I'm curious, have you always been a high achiever? Like, is this something like, were you a premature baby? Where like, did you start from the get-go?
You know, I have never really been called a high achiever. This is a really interesting question, Beth. Um, Most of my life, I've had to be prodded.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
I'm not kidding. And it took me 13 years to get an undergraduate degree. But it's not that I'm not a high achiever in so many other ways. Why did it take me that long? Well, I was working a full-time job and I was playing softball. And to be honest with you, softball took a priority for me. So
Mhm.
let's talk about that for a minute. Was I a high achiever in softball? You bet. Uh, I'm not alone. If Linda's listening to this, yeah, she's right there with me. But it was a conscious choice I made at that point in my life. I played table tennis. I played softball. I really loved it, but I had some other things in life. And so in those other areas, when I think about that, there's no question about that. I come from a mom, my second mom. I come from my second mom who believed we were born to succeed.
Mm.
I mean, she didn't use those words. I mean, that wasn't who she was. She was quite humble, from the South. So everything she said had a really incredible, great Southern accent to it. She had her first child at 12, second child at 13. So you can only imagine when you look at her life at the time she married my dad after my mom passed, 30 years younger than him. I think she was about 30 years younger than him,
Wow.
something like that, maybe 25, let's say 25. So she was a little bit older than my sister. And when you have somebody in your family now that gets a hold of you, who really, as a kid, really difficult child, this is a woman that never compromised on excellence, never compromised on her dream, never compromised on what she wanted in life. And that's the influence I had.
Mhm.
Now, there are a lot of different things we can talk about what that was like, but I think when you are shaped, sculpted, molded, whatever you want to call it, influenced by somebody that would not let you compromise on quality of who you are, on what was in your heart, what was in your soul. One of the things I'll tell you about her, although she didn't talk religion, she believed in spiritual concepts. So let me just leave you with this to answer your question. When you're in a household where your leader, my mom, believes that the entire universe was created and that ability that created the entire universe was within us, that's what you get fed. That's what you get told. That's what dinner is about. So Is that high achieving? I don't know, but it really sets the bar very high.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
Yeah,
How fortunate you were to actually land into that household because
very fortunate.
wow, so many people don't get that kind of a start in life.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. And she fought for me. She
Mm,
fought for me. So that's part, if you're gonna step out in the world, become a high achiever, you have to learn two things: how to fight for yourself and how to fight for others.
mm,
And fighting for myself was never that difficult, but she really taught us that that's only one half of the equation, how you fight for others. And I watched her do it for me over and over and over again when they wanted me to go to secretarial school instead of a music and art school. So, what happens when somebody influences you like that when you're a young child? What can that lead you to, right?
yeah. Infinite possibilities.
Yeah. But I was the slug in the family, just so you know.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I think if my mama would have had a cattle prod, I think that would have been,
Wow.
I don't have a good reason for why that is, but that's not who I am today. Although I do still need to have a lot of tools around me to keep me going. And my best friend Linda is my number one tool. And everybody here on the team knows it. When Linda walks in the room and she's got a question for you, there's the question, right? You
Yeah.
really have to get the answer. And so I just don't want anybody to think that Linda is different outside of that arena because I
Yeah.
get the same questions.
That's interesting. So you don't necessarily have that internal motivation that's like the high achiever, but you have found a way to set yourself up with the external motivation that allows that
Yeah.
impulse for the more to come through you still.
Yeah.
What so let's go to that topic though. What is more for you? What does that mean that would make you want to have somebody in your life that actually can motivate you and keep you going?
Well, you see, when you come up in an environment where you are constantly reminded that whatever created the universe is inside of you, how I mean, you
Mm,
interpret that as a 6-year-old very differently than you do as a 40-year-old. But that is what you have inside of you, and you believe it. You see, I had a belief of that at a very young age, and that belief is what allowed me to create an enormous vision, even though I didn't have a clue, phenomenal dreams that I don't compromise on, and the ability to put one foot in front of the other and get them done, even if I don't know how to do them. Is that more? And I think in the world that I live in, other people remind me it's more. But if you can get a sense of growing up in that environment, it's actually, she never really thought about it as more. She thought about it as taking a step to fulfill whatever that gift is that we have gotten that
yeah,
can enable us to achieve things. So more wasn't an auxiliary idea. It wasn't like an optional idea, right?
yeah,
It was built in. It was built into me and my sisters, and I think me more than my sisters because I did have a focus on doing things. I really wanted to accomplish things. And that's so important.
yeah.
Yeah, I will own being a high achiever. I in the world I now realize that that's the way I'm viewed.
Mhm.
I'm also viewed as somebody that people look at and say, why are you doing more? I mean, you
Yeah.
know that question.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And then you have to face yourself in the mirror and say, should I not be doing more?
Mm,
Am I ashamed that I'm doing more?
mm,
Am I guilty that I'm doing more? Oh, wait, Beth, I want more. Is that okay? Can
yeah.
I want more? That is a dilemma that a lot of people are going through. And what you're doing is saying, yeah, more is a birthright. It's really not an option. It's not an alternative. It's not like a secondary or a byproduct. It's not something in the
Yeah.
background. It's something that we could all set our sights on, right?
Yeah. I think it's part of our evolutionary impulse for more. I think it's what keeps us growing and expanding. And if we deny that, if I feel like less is what needs to happen just to make somebody else more comfortable, I'm not honoring the moreness that's within
Hmm.
me. And when I can do more, I can have more, which allows me to serve more, which allows
Hmm.
me to give more. that more is it becomes a very, cyclical energy that keeps all of us expanding, I think. And I look at you as a high achiever who's here to support other high achievers
That's
in a
what
very
really
good way.
gets me excited every morning. That is I don't say it quite like that. That was beautifully said. I don't say it like that, but it's very clear to me that either when I'm doing a call or when I'm planning my week and I know I'm going to meet with some incredible people, and I got to tell you, the people that I get to work with, like you on this network, I've said this to all of you. It is an honor to work with you because I see that light.
Mm.
And never thought in a million years that I would be in the role that I'm in today in the world. And I'm not quitting. It's funny. I share this with Linda, I think today. In the past 2 weeks, I have now 4 people approach me to buy my company.
Oh,
And I talked to, that's how you know you're doing something really good.
yeah,
Right. I mean,
exactly.
the only time you want to buy something broken is when you want to repair it like a car. Like
Yeah,
my dad used to repair cars. I used to love doing that with him. Right.
yeah,
The junkier the car was, the more excited I would get.
yeah.
Like, right.
Because you like transformation.
I love that. But it's fascinating about that. And I called a friend of mine who I really look up to, who coaches me, Jim Fannin. He coaches a lot of the top people, right? And I called him the other day and I talked to him about a number of things. And he reminded me of his platform. And I was reminded that the number one thing I have to make sure I do is self discipline. He built an incredible score system, and self discipline is the first one. And that's one of the hardest, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he said something interesting to me. Out of everything I've shared with him, which I'm not going to go into on the show today, but it was about the business and it was about what do you want? He said to me something that surprised me. He said, you are going to keep being a table tennis champion. And I'm thinking, where'd that come from?
Mm-hmm.
But I know why he did that. I know why he said that. You see, because so often we think in order to flourish, we have to give something up. And what we tend to give up sometimes is some of the things we love to do that may or may not be related to whether it's getting a degree or building a business or climbing a mountain. We tend to look and say, I got to give that up. And he wanted to make sure I didn't do that. And I said, Jim, no. I said, I'm probably going to enter more tournaments this year than I've ever entered. And by the way,
Mm.
I'm playing better than I've ever played. Whatever, everything he said to me, I keep thinking about that comment.
Yeah.
If you're a high achiever, you have to put yourself around higher achievers.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it. And he's one of them. How do you do that though? And how do you know? Right?
Mm.
I wish I could tell you this has been a very easy ride, like a water slide ride for me. It's not.
Yeah.
I learned by doing. And if you learn by doing, you're going to step in a few potholes. The question is, if you step in a pothole, are you going to be able to get yourself out? And I
Right.
think these are the things you're talking about because isn't flourish the end game?
Yeah. Or is flourish the way that all the more happens? Like when the frequency of flourishing gets to happen without the end game being in place in the first place, because that's
Yeah,
how the end game manifests, right?
yeah, yeah. There's one thing
Yeah.
you asked me. I want to answer it really short answer. I am here, whatever you want to call me, because I have I have people around me that help me.
Mm.
Emily, production team, Jessica for the network, Linda, my coach, Howard, right? Uh, Jim, people I can call. I'm not here because I'm the Statue of Liberty, right? I am
Right.
here because when I'm a little bit down a court, I got to call somebody.
Yeah.
That's how I rise up. That's how I get to do more. Without that, I can't. I stand on all the shoulders of everybody that's been in my life to help me.
Now, see, you just hit on something really key for me when it comes to the definition of flourishing, because that for me is a distinguishment between somebody who might be thriving and somebody who might be flourishing. To me, you know, I get the visual in my head every time of flourishing being this big field of flowers that are all there supporting each other, right? Versus the thriving, which may just be a particular plant. You know, that plant coming up through the concrete is thriving, but it's doing everything the hard way and doing it alone. And so, you know, what you just described, having people around you and surrounding yourself with people and being that person for others too, you know, that allows them to lean into, is it, that's flourishing. That's the frequency of flourishing for me, of what that looks like and feels like and sounds like in my body when I tune into it.
Yeah. Look, if you're in a household where literally you could get punished if you said this in the household. I mean, this is the household I grew up with. I can't. Oh my goodness. You would have thought you did something so seriously wrong because my mom never believed in that. I mean, remember this. First, she had Joyce at 12 and Doris at 13.
Wow.
This is not a woman that you tell you can't to, because I did that. I did that one time very strongly. And boy, the result of that experience, I never forgot.
Mm,
But
wow.
she never entertained that.
Yeah. Well, look at it, what it's produced because of that. A woman who doesn't understand the words I can't.
I don't even, I can't even say them. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, some people, when I tell this story, they say, oh man, you've been like brainwashed. I'm like, yeah, in a good way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're put down when people try to help us remove a limiting belief. We really are put down, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't, okay, got to say this. I watched the women's basketball draft,
Mm,
but I've been watching basketball. So, and I watched the journey of Caitlin Clark,
yeah.
but not just her. I watched Brink. I watched the others too. I saw these women at the draft, how powerful they were. And they were standing on the shoulders of all the women that had come before.
Yeah.
And then I heard how much they get paid.
Yeah.
And then I heard how almost every seat is sold out already. Clearly,
Mm,
somebody made a statement that every seat where her new team, right, Fever, where the Fever was going to show up is already sold out. I also saw where the Seattle Storm was. I just read all of the marketing stuff.
right.
And then I heard how much she's getting paid
Yeah.
and the other women are getting paid. And I just kind of I had this expression on my face like, can't we do more? And like
Yes.
$67,000.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't have an answer for that. So, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
these are high achieving women.
Yeah.
What did they have that I shared with you that I had? They had a vision early on in life to be more.
Yeah. And they will be the shoulders that others stand on.
You're not kidding. You're
Yeah.
not kidding. Yeah.
They're going to break through those ceilings
And
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 create.
they're in that high achiever category. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at them, and I'm not just talking about Caitlin Clark, I'm looking at all of them.
Right.
You know, there was one of the athletes in the draft that many people didn't think she'd even get drafted. And I thought, why is this? She was, you know, they were sitting there. So I'm going to use the proper language. They were sitting there, red bow tie, like most of us that
Mhm.
follow know who they were, who they are. And to watch the conversation about why they would not get selected because she was 5'5", 5 foot 5 inches.
Yeah.
And when she got plucked in the second round and walked up there, when they got picked in the second round, walked up there, it made you really look at more really represents possibilities. And see, we're not just talking about more, we're talking about step in to the world of unlimited possibilities. That's my
Mhm.
company's name.
Yeah.
That's what Mama Doris, that's what she preached without saying it. And that's what she schooled us on when we didn't
Yeah.
do it.
So you chose that name very intentionally.
I did. And the
Yeah.
and the network name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, intentionally and intuitively.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you, and this was 2003, I went from a sole proprietor to an S corporation in 2003, and I never blinked about the name. I
Yeah.
mean, now that you're asking me about it, I'm just like, I don't know where that came from. It just popped in there.
Yeah. Yeah. It had the energy. It knew that there
Yeah.
was more ahead.
Yeah.
And why put a limit on it? Why put a cap on any of
Yeah.
it? So,
I mean, if you look at me for a minute and you think about me, slow in school, almost didn't graduate high school. I was out 48 days in my senior year, almost didn't get my first job, was homeless at 17, got out of that situation by the grace of God, whoever you believe in, the universe, goddess. But I'm not your average person. I'm less
yeah.
than according to our society.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
think I'm
but
less than.
yeah, I was going to say clearly you didn't choose to accept that as your identity.
But boy, anybody out there that's like me, I know your pain when you try to take those SATs and GREs. I feel your pain now. I'm getting a
Yeah.
hot flash just thinking about it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Well, I think we have to take a little break here in a second, right? But when we come back, I want to actually hear if there have been times that you have actually denied yourself more, consciously or subconsciously, and what that looked like. So we'll dive into that topic in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Flourish Frequency Show. I am your host, Beth Larsen, and I've got my amazing guest here, Dr. Pat. If you are curious and wanting to hear some of our earlier episodes, you can go find those at my website, BethLarsenCoaching.com. That's Larsen with an E, Larsen. You can go to the podcast tab there and find out, or you can see the previous episodes and find out a little bit more about this conversation of more from my perspective. And you can also find out different ways to work with me there. So that's BethLarsenCoaching.com. But now we're back with Dr. Pat, and I want to dive into this topic of if you've ever denied yourself more. And we were interestingly enough, just having a conversation at the break there, and you were bringing up the fact that you consult with your mother, who's
Mhm.
actually no longer here, of course,
Yep.
but you still consult with her, or she consults with you. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah.
If she's
I
reaching
try to
out to
get to
you.
her first, Beth, because
Okay.
if she gets to me, it's very painful. You see, I try to be proactive with the chat to the mom
Yeah.
because if she gets to me, it means I've waited a little bit long to get myself in shape.
Mm. So what happened this time around? Did she reach out to you this time?
No, this time I was talking with her.
Okay.
I'm in a new office space in my home. I'm working from home quite a bit these days because I'm building something that requires me to be around my files, a
Right.
lot of files. So, talking to a lot of different people about a lot of different things. And so I'm surrounded, you can't see the whole room, but if you were to see it, if I were to do a 360 video, you'd see a lot of spiritual things in here.
Mhm.
But her reminder is in here. And here's what she said to me recently. This is the most recent moment. She's really been hitting on me a lot in the past month. But she asked me the question, Pat, when did you stop believing
Mm.
that you and your company and your business or whatever you create, when did you stop believing that you could actually reach the financial goals you wanted of being a three, in her words, three, she uses three, she likes letter three, but I know what she means,
Yeah.
a three-digit millionaire. So she doesn't mean three, she means, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like 1 million and then you had two.
Yeah.
She asked me that question, I just cried. I just cried. Why did I cry? Because she was right. She wasn't really asking me when. You
Yeah.
know, when she would work with us girls, she would ask those questions. She wouldn't like scold you about it or make you feel bad, but when do you know when you stop believing that? Well, the point is, I did stop believing it momentarily. And that
Yeah.
was her reminding me, you better shape up. I mean, this is what she was like, you better shape up.
Yeah.
You better shape up. And that was all I needed to hear from her. And
Wow.
I jumped right into action. What did I do? Here's what I did. Do you want to know? Do you want me to
Yeah.
share this?
Yeah. How
Okay.
did you lead yourself through it?
This is a woman of action. And so this is part of the way I coach people, and I have my own coaching model. But this is what happens when you get a level of awareness and an intuitive hit, you must take action. So I asked her, I said, okay, I get it. What's my next move? No voice, but I start going on a freelancer website,
Mm.
putting up 4 job descriptions for 4 different people to hire to get done what I need to get done in the next 2 weeks.
Wow. So you got the energy moving again.
But isn't that what you do when you coach
Yeah.
people? You see, when we use the word coach, it's very different than counseling. You know, both of us, we've
Yeah.
studied psychology, both of us are out there. We know what therapy is. Therapy is not coaching.
Right. Correct.
Coaching is helping someone be aware and then do something about it. And that's what she was about. High achiever, she was. You wouldn't call her that though, Beth, if you saw her life.
Right.
But she got her GED. She went and got a real estate certificate. Then she got a real estate license. When they moved to Florida, she got a broker's license. You see, I don't even know that industry, but I can
Right.
tell you, she got herself great job. She worked at a bank down there in Homestead, Florida. She did all the things that in the world, you'd look at somebody like that and say that she's not a high achiever. Of course, she was a high achiever. Why? Because she wasn't only doing it for herself. You know what happened when Hurricane Andrew hit Florida? My mom was down there, lost
I
everything.
vaguely remember that one.
Yeah, it
So,
was the worst ever.
okay.
The only building that stayed up in Homestead pretty much was my brother's house because it was made of cinder block, but she lost everything. She was a broker, real estate broker. She was selling condominiums. I called my mom. I said, Mom, come to see, come. I got a place for you. Come here. She said, now, honey, why would I do that? Because you got no place to live.
The obvious.
She said, I bought me an RV
Wow.
and I pulled the RV on your brother's lawn. So there's a big like place you live. I don't think it's, I don't know what to call it. She said, then your brother put up a big fence because she said, ain't nobody here got any homes. Just your brother sitting here with his cinder block home, everything is crushed. She said,
Wow.
I'm not going anywhere. And I said, why? She says, I thought I'd touch you better in a Southern
Wow.
accent.
Yep.
She said, I thought I'd touch you better. And I thought, she said, what are you doing in life to help other people, to support other people rise up?
Yeah.
Pat, what are you doing? What are you doing in life? She said, I'm going to stay here because I am going to help these people rebuild their homes.
Ah, wow.
And then she said something to me. She said, don't ever do anything for money, just
Mhm.
for yourself.
Mhm.
That's what this network is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never shared that story on air,
Yeah.
but what a gift to have that woman in our lives as
Yeah.
kids. What a gift.
So interesting, though, she's also still asking you what made you stop believing that you could
Yeah.
have that monetary number
Yeah.
coming up too. So she also understood
Yeah.
that it's also not something to keep away from yourself. Like,
Absolutely not. I
yeah.
mean, my mom, I'm telling you, watch my mom play bingo. Hello. I love to go. I can't, I got my 1 or 2 little cards. She's got like my mom could win at bingo, and you would think, don't tell your dad. That's but money, not having money was never in her agenda. It was never part of it. She saw money as a form of exchange. But when you make that money, Pat, what are you giving back? That's why I
Yeah.
started a nonprofit last year, right?
Beautiful.
Very
Yeah.
specific one. But she's not talking to me about that. What she's really saying, Beth, is, are you giving up on your dream? Is
Yeah.
your dream still in your heart?
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's just wow. That whole story is just amazing. I
Yeah.
want to meet her.
Oh my God. Well, next time I talk to her, I'll tell her to drop in on you.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I'd like to see what advice she might have for me.
I do this show with Mark, Mark Anthony, the psychic and the doc on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I know she doesn't come through because I'm not part of that, but I know she's always there.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very grateful to have had her in my life. I'm
Yeah.
also very grateful for my dad. My dad was not a really nice person, but he taught me one thing very importantly. He taught me that as a girl, we never grew up as being shown as girls.
Mm,
He taught us how to change engines in cars, how to build motorcycles.
yeah.
So it's interesting when I think about that now. I do understand gender differences. I really understand this in the world, and I've been an advocate for them.
Right.
But I went to junior high school with my nails dirty like 5 days a week.
Yep.
They, the counselor called my parents once because I had grease on my hand. I mean, my dad had grease goop to get it off, but
Yeah.
I just didn't do it, right?
Yep.
And I was learning the viola, right? And I was like, my hands were black. And Dr. DeVito looked at my hands like, "Are you injured?" And I said, "No, I just changed the oil."
Oh my gosh. No, I was just headed to shop class.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
goodness.
I know.
Wow. So
You
I'm
can't give
curious.
up on your dream. And
No,
and
for
I want to be
definitely.
very clear about this term high achiever.
Yeah.
It's all relative. It's
Yeah.
all relative. You know, you have to decide what your vision and goals are for yourself. Anyone that searches for more is
Yeah.
in the high achiever category.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually, I make a distinction really between high achiever and high performer. And I titled this high achiever because most people are, hearing it from the high achiever mindset.
Yeah,
And I really want to get into the head of the people who are in that high achiever place, because that high achiever place can often come with a baggage of burnout, along with it.
I've
If
been
it's
there. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Been there. Because it wasn't until for me, I know it wasn't until I started shifting and understanding the difference between high achievement and high performance and starting to reprioritize what the more meant, that it was quality driven versus just the things that were the achievement, and that became the byproduct of it. That's when everything really shifted. So, while this episode is really, we're talking a lot about high achievers, if you're identifying as a high achiever out there, if you're somebody who this is really resonating for, there is a delineation between high achievement and high performance. And I'd invite you to just feel into that and get curious around what would it look like if you changed the definition of more for yourself, and what that might look like in terms of how could you show up differently in the process and
Well, I'm
allow
both.
yourself to have more.
I'm
Yeah.
both. I'm both. And
Yeah.
my team has not seen that part of me so much because what I've had to learn and in the workplace and being a leader is, and Linda is equally there with me. Linda's actually more so in terms of a high performer.
Mm,
And let me talk about what that means. There's a
yeah.
quality that we expect. There's a quality, and we set the bar high for ourselves. There's a quality that we expect. And if you ever see a body of work that we do personally, not that we have a
Mm,
bunch of, you'll see that we shoot for almost to a fault though, Beth. I will tell you this. This is what my mom tried to correct in me, almost to a fault. I'm not a perfectionist, but I do believe in high quality. Can I tell you another word that mom just used to make that her ruby red lipstick and bright red nails, just you could see her cringe. You would have, if you said it, you have to walk it back.
okay.
Okay. My team doesn't know this, but this has been floating around on the team now for about a week. This one thing. Never, ever was it going to be okay for her to hear you say it's okay.
Mm,
Well, how did you make out on that? How do you feel? How do you feel how you did changing the oil? Oh, I did okay. Oh, no,
yeah.
no. Because the goals she wanted us to have, and she knew it was going to be an uphill ladder for me. She knew I was a little slow. I was slower
Mm,
than my sisters, academically and learning wise. So she
mhm.
knew that. So she wanted us to understand okay was a mediocre response. And it set us up, though, to be great in the customer service field because we would never issue a product or anything that was just okay.
Yeah.
And that is something here as we move forward as a network, that just okay has got to be eradicated
Mm,
because the world we're living in now, they don't look through the lens of okay anymore. And
yeah.
you see, when I share stories like this, people are like, wow, what a witch she must have been. No, no.
Yeah.
And then she would demonstrate what the difference is between okay and great.
Right. Right.
She would show you.
Yeah.
Now, how does that equate to changing the oil? I'll tell you. Change the oil. Mama goes out in the garage. She sees that she knows my dad. What a pig pen, right? No problem with dad. But she goes out there and I finished the job. And she said, so you did okay. She says, what's not okay about this? I didn't clean the oil. I didn't put the oil in the toxic thing where it needed to go. I
Mm,
clearly didn't take the oil rags and do anything with them. I left that garage in a state of who knows what.
mm,
See, isn't that a simple example?
yeah.
And
Yep.
when I was done and I looked at it, I understood the difference between okay and great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's like the simple question of what would make it great could actually shift a
It
lot,
did.
right? Like just to get people thinking even a little bit more. And there's so, I've said this before. I don't believe you can have more on a foundation of not enough.
Oh my
So,
God, no.
that to me is really, really important because the enoughness is just baked into who we are as human beings. That's our birthright. We are enough all on its own. And we get to have more and we get to be more and we get to show up more. And so I think what you're saying there is really about that. There's more I could do. And I was enough, or it was enough, it was okay, but I could do better. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Have you
Because
ever
it's
seen a
on.
parent? Have you ever seen a parent with a little baby? You got the little baby, the baby's born, the baby comes out. The baby doesn't know not to ask for more. I mean, I don't know
Exactly.
about the babies that y'all might be
Always
around,
asking
but
for more.
I'm gonna tell you, now you got that baby like wah, more,
Yeah.
wah, more, right? They know more, right? What
Yes.
happens with the baby? Oh, they don't like the crib. They pull themselves up. They want more, right?
Yep.
They're
Yep.
in the crib. They don't even know how to walk it. Then you put them on the ground, they're crawling. Oh no, I'm not going to crawl slow. I'm going to go. I'm going to go over, get there, and I'm going to get more.
Yep.
Have you ever heard a parent say, no, I don't want you to learn how to walk? No,
Exactly. It's innate. It's within us. And
it
that
is
is how we
so
grow.
there. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is so there.
Yeah.
It is so innate. And this is why you and I do what we do.
Yeah.
This network was founded on providing not just great content shows like this, but tools and solutions and support for people that may forget
Yeah.
that more is their birthright.
Yeah. I know. This is why I love talking with you. And I know we're starting to run towards the end here. So, I don't want to get to the end and not have this part of the conversation. I'm curious about what's more is on the horizon for you now. Like what
Mhm,
has more has the definition mission, excuse me, has the definition of more shifted for you right now in terms of what's
mhm.
coming up for you?
Well, not because, well, before my mom reminded me that the universe is like that. Like when you exceed the more that the
Right.
universe can provide, then you're done. Uh, but here's the thing. What did she remind me of? When we started the network in 2009, 2010, they told
Mhm.
me it couldn't be done. Well, when I started my show 20 years ago, they told me it couldn't be done. My greatest gift in the world has been ignorance in some areas.
Yeah.
When I entered this, I wasn't stupid, but I was ignorant. What does ignorant means? It just means you don't know. And I
Right.
loved entering that arena as 20 years ago, wanting to do positive conversations on the radio and nobody was doing it. We
Yeah.
unfolded that in 2009, 2010. But what happened? See, I just didn't do a thing. I
Yeah.
worked for a software company and we built proprietary software. Now, what is that proprietary software going to allow us to do now? Because we had to wait for companies like Amazon to show up with great servers. So we're getting ready to launch all new technology, a new interface, new players. And our technology has the ability to launch a brand new channel within a 48-hour
Wow.
window for anybody that wants us to. See, you could get a station that comes along and says, I want to have all these things that you're doing, the bells, the whistles, the back end, the front end, the database.
Wow.
I just need a domain name.
Yeah.
Why? People ask me, how did you come up with that? You just need to have Mama Doris's head. You need to have her in your head.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say is this last thing. Intuition is the key to
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And I know we didn't talk about it a lot, but I will tell you almost everything I shared today was grounded in following my intuition. And that is something also I grew up with.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. And you can't tap into that intuition if you're stuck in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mental head and all the
Yeah.
monkey chatter.
So what you're going to get from us is you're going to see new channels, new website, our new membership. You're going to
Wow.
see AI for the Soul, our new app. This is all by the end of the year. We're very close to switching things now. We're just finishing testing. You're going to see an opportunity for all of the listeners, all of you that are watching, to get more from our hosts in different ways. You're going to see a different social media venue for us, platform for us, what we do. Uh,
Mm,
our players now, Beth, the player you have on your website, people don't know this. Our technology we give to our host, that
yeah.
player will automatically convert from just audio to video. So Beth will have her video player right there.
Yay. I didn't know this.
Yes. And we're excited about building out the community. But the thing I'm most excited about, which may have to wait till next year, is my nonprofit, which
Mhm.
is Voices in Empowering Women.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
5013C because I have come across too many women in
Mm,
this arena that either can't afford it, don't know how to get started. We need to raise funds so women can take their voice out into the world.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to hear that you're helping these women out there
Yeah.
who have more to say
Yeah. And
and
I
you're
don't
helping
do
them
it without
hear.
this team. I mean, none of this, everything I just said to you, I am not doing that alone.
Wow. Oh,
I
I have
got a
goosebumps.
great team. I got a great team. We're going to be hiring a couple more people, another producer. Got a
Yeah.
great team. And you know what? All of you support us, and I want to thank you for that.
Yeah. So the saying is what got you here won't get you there. So what's the one big thing that you need to do differently for yourself that allow you to keep evolving here?
Stay clean and sober. I mean,
Ah,
that's an easy answer. None of this really would have happened. I got clean and sober in 1990, and that has been my journey. None of this happens for
congratulations.
me. By the way, I'm going to talk to y'all for a minute, really a minute. None of this happens for me or with any of you without a great clean and sober program if you're using and your spiritual platform.
Hmm.
God, spirituality, whatever you practice, the God of your understanding or the spirit of your understanding, I don't go anywhere without that.
Yes.
I'm not running this ship, Beth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am the co pilot.
Yep.
I believe in a spiritual energy that points the
Yes.
way and doesn't believe that I've come this far to fail.
I think you've just identified what my last question was is what is your flourish frequency? And that's it.
That is it. I go nowhere
Wow.
without that. And Mama Doris jumps in when I forget that this is really a spiritual journey.
Yeah. Wow. I feel that deeply. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pat, for being my guest today and not just
Thank
my
you, Beth.
co-host.
Thank you so much for the show.
Oh,
I really have not had an interview like this in a really long time. I mean, I think I shared some things here that were really close to my heart because I have been stepping in a couple of potholes. You know, this past month has been a little bit, I'd say, more challenging for me than most.
mhm.
But you come out of those challenges smarter, wiser, more inspired, and more
Always.
spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically grounded.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for joining me today and for being here and for sharing all this from your heart. I really truly appreciate that. You know, if this is a topic that has resonated for you, those of you out there who are listening, watching, you know, and you want to know more, if you want to know more about having your more, then definitely continue to keep tuning into the Flourish Frequency every third Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And if you want to explore other options of going deeper for yourself, you can find me again at my website, BethLarsenCoaching.com. Beth Larsen, Larsen, coaching.com.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Flourish Frequency Show with me, Beth Larsen. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and are leaving with a heart full of inspiration and a mind buzzing with the possibilities of more. Tune in every third Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more frequency boosting conversations. And if you want more help getting into your Flourish flow and stepping into the possibilities of more, you can find me at BethLarsenCoaching.com. That's BethLarsenCoaching.com, Larsen with an E.